this is the much awaited segment, I believe. So this evening we journey into a world of precision, speed and ambition through a young athlete turning global attention towards Sri Lanka. Please welcome and give a big round of applause to the rising motorsport star on track towards Formula One dreams, Yevan David. And joining him from the organization driving mobility innovation in Sri Lanka and backing this remarkable journey with Mercedes Benz, the Executive Director of DEMO, Mr. Rajiv. Let's give him also a big round of applause. So to get started with, I'm sure all of you would like a chance to raise your questions and have a chat with Yevan as well. So just to begin, Yevan, you race with Sri Lankan flag on your suit. What kind of pride or what kind of responsibility does that give you when you're on the grid?
First of all, thank you for everyone for coming today, and it's a pleasure to be here. Racing with the Sri Lankan flag, I've been doing it since I was a small kid, but now to be on the global stage, representing F3 next season as well, it was amazing to have the Sri Lankan livery on the car this year, but taking it to F3 and potentially more within the next few years is very exciting. I hold such great pride with it, seeing the line on the car as well, so very excited for the future.
Was there a moment where you thought, I'm going to do this, I'm going to race beyond this island, and a moment where it stopped being about being just you and it became about Sri Lanka on the track? Was there a defining moment like that for you?
I think from the day I started, first of all, I loved just driving cars in general and the feeling of having Formula One as the goal. But once I started racing abroad, like in Malaysia and Thailand and all over Asia, I realized I'm representing Sri Lanka, not just myself. So it happened probably 2 or 3 years into my racing career, which was around 2017 and 18, when I started to race in places like Europe and Asia. Obviously not for the whole year, but just to be seeing the Sri Lankan flag there on the live stream and stuff, that's when I realized, like, all right, this is time to go all the way. I had nights where I dreamed of the Sri Lankan flag on the Formula One podium, and that fueled everything I did. Every time I went to the gym, every time I stepped in the car, I realized this is for me and for Sri Lanka.
That's quite inspiring, and that is such a young age to carry such a big responsibility. You're carrying a nation with you when you race, so that's amazing. So the next question to Rajiv. DEMO and Mercedes Benz chose to support a young driver representing Sri Lanka on these global circuits. What made that connection important to you?
DEMO has been behind motorsport for a while now. So, for example, about 2016 or 2017, we have a CSR program where our school, there are mechanics getting learned, and we were in fact the first organization to put up a school in Jaffna after the war. So these students built up a racing car, and they raced in 2015, I believe, in Silverstone for a championship. So we've been promoting racing and like-minded kids, if I may say so, to pursue their dreams. So Yevan came across actually 4 or 5 years ago, and through one of our mutual friends, Mr. Bripo Nambalam. And so we were keeping it on hold, and then Yevan's dad, who's at the back there, we got talking about a 1.5 years ago, and then we saw some mutual interest. And for us, Yevan is stepping into Formula 3. He's the first driver in the Formula world going out of Sri Lanka. So that's a huge honor for Sri Lanka. So as the premier mobility organization in Sri Lanka, it makes absolute sense. But what really underlined the whole thing was his personality and his attitude towards what he's passionate about. Is something that we really love, and we are here to back him, and we wish him the best, and we'll be there all the way. Yeah.
That's great. Almost seems like it was a no-brainer, this immediate connect. So back to Yevan. Motor racing isn't a typical path in Sri Lanka and culturally too. So what boundaries did you have to break, whether it was mentally, socially, or even structurally, to really, begin this journey and to pursue it and make a name for yourself in this space?
I mean, obviously, initially, I started here in Sri Lanka, and the first time I stepped in a go-kart, I was 5 years old. So at the time, I wasn't, aware of how difficult it was to go out of Sri Lanka and race abroad, and my parents kind of shielded the difficulty from me and just let me race. But time came where I started to race in Singapore and the other countries, and I think, just doing one step at a time, first racing in another country, then another, and then after 2 or 3 years, started racing in Europe. And I guess the main thing I'm saying is that step by step, we were able to build a picture of where we are today. And I wouldn't say it was any big leap to go beyond Sri Lanka and represent the world. It was just step by step making the dream happen, but obviously putting the practice in, still doing the hard work that everyone does, but just that little bit more, and then taking it step by step.
And I guess, like you said, your parents probably played a huge role in letting you pursue this and shielding you from the whole thing. Right. And if you had to explain Colombo or Sri Lanka to someone in the racing world, a coach or a competitor, what would you tell them? Do they know of Sri Lanka? Because you were the first to put Sri Lanka on the map in the Formula One or racing space.
So obviously I meet a lot of people in racing, and I'm surprised to the amount of people that have actually been to Sri Lanka. It's almost like every other person has been. But for the people that haven't been, well, first of all, I don't talk about the racing side. I talk about how colorful and amazing Colombo is, the amount of opportunity and the growth that it's had in the last few years, and so much history behind it. But of course I also tell them about the whole of Sri Lanka, the beautiful beaches up in the mountains in Kandy and stuff. It's an amazing place to live and to go on holiday. And then I talk about the racing, how we have one of the best karting tracks in the world, and so many people that have this passion for cars and racing. I'm sure a lot of people here today have that passion for cars and Formula One as well. And it's growing every day, and what I tell them is, Sri Lanka has a huge future in motorsport, because there's a lot of young drivers that want to be reaching F1 who don't have the opportunity yet, but most of them are willing to do the hard work and have the talent. And the amount of people that are getting interested in racing, that want to be following every Formula One on a day-to-day basis, it's incredible. So I obviously tell them about the Sri Lanka side and Colombo and the beauty, but also the racing side, because there's a huge future in the coming years.
Do you think that Colombo gives you an advantage or a unique perspective on the global stage?
Yeah, I think, being from the capital city in Sri Lanka, I guess I can say to everyone that I'm from a beautiful place. Not a lot of people are from Colombo, and a lot of people are from the F3 or the Formula 4 grid in the world, but one of my main advantages is Sri Lanka as a whole, because it's such a unique country, and just saying I'm from Sri Lanka separates me from the rest, and I feel that's very special to have on the grid.
Thanks. So people usually see, sorry Rajiv, I'm coming to you, but more to Yevan. People see the glamour and the speed, but not really the pressure of milliseconds that define a win or a loss. So what is one discipline, or was there like a mind shift or daily habit that you practice, that keeps you going, that keeps you performing at this world-class level? Is something you can share with the audience as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of people know from my TED Talk that I engage in meditation. And what I mean from that is, pressure is something that is created in our head. What I realized is that when you go into a race and you say, oh, I should do well because of this, because of that, you have to realize that you're doing it for yourself. And 5 minutes a day, I basically just try to clear my mind and just focus on everything that's right in front of me. So if I'm just before I'm going to the gym, I sit for 5 minutes and just clear my mind, and it's like, okay, now I have to focus on gym. And how that helps me is when I'm about to get into the car, I do that for 1 minute. And because I've done it every day, just practicing to clear my mind, I can clear my mind again on track. And it's all about, the mindset you have, because if you're doing it for yourself and you want yourself to do well, you won't feel pressure from, fans or family or anyone that a lot of people feel in sports. So that's one of my main practices, and obviously it has to come from the mindset of believing in yourself.
I guess that too takes a lot of discipline, because meditating is not something easy to do. I've tried.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, a lot of people who try it, get bored, and it's like, when you're about to go to sleep and you're just thinking of everything and you keep going, and then you suddenly fall asleep. It's like the same in meditation. Your mind can go to a million different places, but what you have to realize is that once you do it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you do it every single day, at one point your mind is going to get used to it. At one point your mind is just going to say, okay, now it's time to think of nothing. It's like learning how to write, At first you don't know what you're doing, but we learn it as kids, and now it's effortless. And it's the exact same with anything we put our mind to, and including meditation, no matter how hard it is.
Keep trying and keep going, not giving up.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
So motorsport is a performance sport, but it's also a world of engineering, of material, of precision, of design. So even the way the helmets and the suits are built. So how does design impact your performance, from aerodynamics or to the gear you wear? What does the role of design play for you?
Huge, because a lot of people look at the helmet and go, wow, that's such a cool design. But there's a small wing on the back of the helmet, and if that's not the right angle, it's actually slower on the straight. So everything down to that, to the tires and the wings on the car, everything has to be precise, because we're talking about tenths or hundredths of a second. And although the human variable is the biggest, because you can improve yourself as a driver as much to find those tenths, you have to make sure that there are no other variables on the car. And it's the same with any sport, you just try to work on all your weaknesses. The weaknesses of the car might be the wing at a different angle that's wrong. So it's just being precise in every area and then working on yourself.
Interesting. And to Rajiv, where do you see Mercedes Benz aligning with this idea of performance design?
Well, Mercedes Benz, especially with AMG, is at the cutting edge of design, and in fact, just last few days, I was privileged enough to see the 2028, 2029 vehicles that are going to come out. And the amount of time and effort and R&D, Mercedes Benz is the only manufacturing company that has the highest amount of R&D going into their production cars. So, I mean, Formula One is, I think, I know in Formula One there's 1 quintillion data points that they measure to get it right. So he just mentioned 5 or 6, but that's the amount of detail that they go into. So, design is, it comes with the engineering part of things as well. So, I mean, in Formula One, the vehicles change every 2-3 years because of the regulation. So, again, that a set of people who are innovative enough, who has the imagination to work within those rules, to get the best car out for the best drivers, that's where Mercedes-Benz and their aerodynamics and their engine capacities come in. And what we know from Mercedes side is that, the pinnacle of engineering and design is Formula One, and they get trickled down to, your production cars. Most of the safety equipment and the hybrid engines that you see in these vehicles now was initiated in Formula One. So that this knowledge is coming down to our doorsteps in another 2-3 years time. So we are fully supportive of it, and we are very lucky to be part of Mercedes-Benz, because we get to see that thinking, from how quiet a car is or how loud the engine needs to be based on each customer's requirement. So those things come in, and the R&D divisions in Mercedes-Benz are huge. And as I said, they have the highest budget. So Mercedes-Benz is up there, and I hope he one day races for Mercedes as well.
Yeah, we hope so too. So, like you said, Rajiv, Mercedes-Benz embodies precision of innovation and engineering excellence. And I think you touched upon this earlier as well. What shared values did you see in Yevan that made him a natural fit
I don't know about design. No, but I mean, you know, the way he carries himself, and he's such a humble guy. But I think it's the work ethic. Nobody sees the work ethic that goes into driving a car. I mean, I would challenge anybody here to drive 20 laps around one of our go-kart tracks here. It's not a joke. It's very difficult. So it's the work ethic that goes in, and then as drivers, they have to work with their engineers to make the car as suitable as possible for his driving style. So, I mean, in discussion with him, you know, when you speak to him, you understand that he has the right head on his shoulders. So, I mean, we want to back a guy who aligns with our values of Demo and Mercedes Benz, and that's what we did.
So the same question, but in a different twist to you, Yevan. So when you partner with a brand like Mercedes Benz, what qualities or values of that resonate with you and your personal journey to get you here?
Well, I mean, obviously, Demos is a huge brand in Sri Lanka that have been here for over 85 years. But one of the biggest things I say is that I have a group of people and a brand that believes in me of reaching the goal of Formula One. So obviously, I started this journey alone with my family, but now that we have more people believing in us, it's all contributing to the dream that I have of going to Formula One. And it's amazing to be with Mercedes as well, because obviously they're a team in Formula One, so as Rajiv said, maybe in a few years. But it's, yeah, just a huge help to have that belief from them.
That's great. So based on your experience racing internationally, what's the one thing you think Sri Lanka could build or encourage to develop more world-class talent like you, whether it's in motorsports or even design or engineering? What do you think Sri Lanka can do to support or encourage this kind of unconventional path by business?
Well, as a driver in Sri Lanka, there's an opportunity now to go-karting and develop as a driver here. But it's all about getting the opportunity to go and race abroad. So whether there's sponsorship programs or maybe more racetracks here so that they have different level of experience. But I wouldn't say that there's a driving disadvantage here, because at the track we have here, we can practice pretty much every weekend. But one of the biggest problems is time and the budget to do it. So having the budget to go abroad, sponsorship programs would help, and also the publicity. Saying to the world, Asia, Europe, that there are drivers here that are talented, that have the work ethic, because I know for sure there are, and they're going to be in the spotlight in a few years. So publicity is one of the main things, because there'll be opportunities from other countries that would want to have drivers from here, not just based on their talent and their work ethic, but the fact they're from Sri Lanka. Those opportunities are going to come within the next few years, and one of my biggest goals as well is to help younger drivers in Sri Lanka. In a few years, I will probably be worrying about that, not right now because I'm still one of them, but there's definitely opportunity in a few years.
I'd just like to add something to that. There are many other avenues that you can get into Formula One. I know that there are some members from the Morutu University in the paddock who are representing various teams in aerodynamics, in tire, because we have got a lot of knowledge on tire because we of our rubber industry. Then the clothing and the apparel, because there's so much tech going into their clothing, because it's fireproof, it has to reach some kind of standard. So there are so many avenues that you can get into racing, because I know of people who are there. In fact, two of the AMG is a one-man, one engine, and there are 2 Sri Lankans building those engines in the factory in Affeltabach in Germany. So, I mean, if you can harness your knowledge and if you have that vision and a bit of support, there are many ways that you can get onto the racetrack.
That's great. You had anything to add?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, when you're not a driver, if you want to be an engineer in Formula One or a media, a journalist, there's so many opportunities. If you go to university in the UK, there's many engineering programs, and you can become a race engineer in Formula One. And not just in Formula One, there's Formula 2, Formula 3, but like you said, there's Sri Lankans there that are already working that we don't know of. So even if you're not a driver, there are many opportunities there.
All right. So to Rajiv, DEMO has a history of supporting innovation and talent, like you said. How do you see organizations like yours contributing to a future where young Sri Lankans can excel globally, and not only in motorsport but across industries like you just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, DEMO has always tried to, support the young talent, and especially if you take from our mechanics, we have alumni out of DEMO in Canada, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Dubai, and so on. So we have our training school that we develop kids. But I think it's about giving exposure. And when you work with organizations like DEMO, it's not just Mercedes Benz. We have another variety of industries that we represent. You get exposure to the best of brands and the best of know-how around the world. So that kind of, if you have the inner hunger or the fire in you to get to know things, learn, then when you come up and work with DEMO, you get exposed to those, and then you get to work with like-minded people, and then after that, the world is your oyster, and we are there to back those young individuals, and we would love to keep doing that. And we did that with, I think, Linda, when we started this long time ago, when we sent some designers to UK as well. So it depends, regardless of the industry, if you have the hunger and we can align, then the exposure is there.
So I guess it all starts with being self-driven and having the discipline to pursue it.
Exactly.
So I know the audience is also waiting to probably interact and have some questions, but a few closing questions to you, Yevan. If your younger self, that kid who first sat in a cart, could see you racing today, what would you tell him about ambition, about what lies ahead, and about the responsibility of representing a nation?
But the one thing I would say is just believe in yourself. Everything else will fall into place once you believe you're going to Formula One. You believe that everyone here is just there to help you. And I can say for sure that my younger self now would be so driven knowing that I got to this point. And there's no reason why that younger self can't have the belief. So if I could go back, I would, because there's a lot of times I doubted myself as a youngster, but when I didn't need to, so definitely belief is the main thing I would say.
And when you look ahead, what's the next boundary that in your mind you're preparing to break? What's the next big move for you? What is something that you see is just beyond your reach, but you're again so focused on achieving?
Well, within the next few years, now that I'm entering Formula 3, we normally do 1 or 2 years in Formula 3 and 1 or 2 years in Formula 2. So that's a maximum of 4 years before Formula 1. And that's the goal right now. I mean, just 4 years away it's not that long ago. Not that long in the future. So just focusing on doing as much as I can in F3 and then as much as I can in F2. I don't want to be looking at Formula 1 right now and focusing on that, because my focus right now is the Formula 3 championship next year. So definitely my goal is to win Formula 2, and then the dream is there. So definitely all eyes set on 2026, and then we go from there.
We're all rooting for you. If you tell the next Sri Lankan kid with this, what they would assume is an impossible dream, and if Sri Lanka and Colombo were to support more young boundary breakers like you, what needs to change?
Well, the one thing I would say to everyone is follow those dreams. Follow those crazy, impossible dreams, because there's a reason they're planted in you. There's a reason you're thinking about them. There's a reason you want them. So even as crazy as it may seem, it's still possible. And for the way to go forward, I would say it's just having a good support system around you that will help you chase your dreams. Obviously, it's you that has to have the passion, but no success is done alone. I can say that I've had an amazing team off track in terms of my family, my manager, my coach. All of them are with me to push me forward to where I'm going. So having that team around you and having the people that believe in you will take you far, and following that passion, as I said, no matter how crazy it seems.
Thank you. So I wanted to open up for any questions from the audience. Rajiv, is there anything you'd like to add? Yeah.
If anyone, go ahead.
Yevan, TED Talk, you talked about you learn more when you lose than when you win. In your TED Talk, Yevan, you talked about like you learn more when you lose than when you win. So can you just elaborate that mindset of learning at the lowest point?
Yeah, of course. I mean, as I said, I've probably won less than 10% of my races, even 5%. And yet we're still here today because celebrating success and celebrating, the journey onwards. And what I learned is that when you lose, you finish second, you finish third. To make it simple, there's a reason why you didn't finish first. Whether you were not fast enough as a driver, whether the engine wasn't fast enough, whether the team didn't set up the car properly, there's always a reason. So to look at it analytically, you just find the reason every single time during a race, or find something to work on. Even when you win, if you say you made a mistake on this lap and that lap, find out why that happened. And what I learned is that every time you lose, you can work on that reason. You can go back home after the Sunday night, let it process, and then tick those boxes off. Because everyone has weaknesses, but if your weaknesses are better than the other drivers, then you'll succeed, no matter how good you are. So every time you lose, just remember to not feel down, and one of the things I learned is that when you win, it feels good, but also you feel terrible when you lose. And not a lot of people understand that losing is a part of it. And so when I started to feel okay with losing, that pressure just released from me, because I realized, okay, it's either you learn or you win. And that's it, there's nothing else. So every race, I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to do well, but I know that if I make a mistake, I'm excited because there's a new weakness that I can work on and make myself better. And that's the mindset that I have towards everything, not just racing, but in school. And yeah, that's basically the mindset behind it.
So remember, you have 22 million people who will be behind you.
Yeah, a lot of people to believe. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Hi, Yevan, nice to meet you. So my question is that Formula One or even Formula 3 is very competitive, and I mean, when you have that level of competition, the pressure is really high, right? And especially being around other racers who are, very good. It's basically, the tip top of the competition, right? How do you kind of deal with that sort of competition and the pressure that comes with it?
So one of the things that's very difficult to do is, you compare yourself to your other competitors. Even when you're in school, whenever you get a grade on a test, you want to find out what everyone else is to see if you did well. But what I learned is that focusing on yourself and just thinking, okay, I finished here in this race. I don't care where anyone else finished. What can I work on? And putting all your energy into yourself takes that pressure off, because then you're not thinking about how well this guy did, how much practice this guy did, how well this guy's doing and you're not doing. Because all you're doing is focusing on yourself, focusing on the mistakes you've made and how you can learn from them. And then ultimately at one point, you're going to be comparing to yourself so much that you'll forget everyone else is even there, because all your energy is onto you. Another big thing about pressure is that you can feel pressure from around you, but in the end, it's how your mind takes the pressure. It's all about our mind, of how we can take that pressure and use it into a positive energy. So what I just explained there, anything that comes to pressure for me, I just remind myself, focus on yourself. Everything else will fall into place, because that's the only thing you can control, and then the pressure just fades away.
How do you filter out what you can learn from someone else?
So I look at it, take Max and Lewis for example. Lewis has won so much and he's gone through so many championships, and now he's having probably the toughest time in his career. And so what I learned from him is, okay, even when you win so much, there's still more to work on, and still things can happen that can bring you down, and it's about how you can get back up from it. But I don't relate it to, oh, he's won this many championships, I haven't. I relate it to, that's something I can learn from this person, so I'm going to take it on. And it's not just Formula One drivers, it's football players or basketball players, or even anyone around me, like, for example, my father, who's always working hard, and, doing multiple hours of work a day and putting so much time and energy, it's like for me, I can do that as well because I know someone else can do it and they're achieving that way. So that means I can do that for myself, but I don't have to compare, you know, I don't have to say this person's doing better than me. I can just say, okay, I can reach that level as well. And then the pressure fades, as I said.
Thank you.
In fact, I have a question for you. You took... No, you took Luis's, I mean, I was thinking it from a business angle as well. You know, Luis is the most successful driver there's been there. And, you know, he's facing the toughest year he has had. How do you separate, you know, from, you know, Luis? It's very easy for Luis to come and blame his team or, you know, the engineers or the tire, the weather, to all kinds of things. How do you still, with that motivation that you have singularly on yourself, how do you drive the team with that? You know, how do you separate the blame game?
Yeah. So one of the biggest, a lot of teams hate drivers because they complain a lot, let's be honest. So there's one driver in particular who brought a team after years, which is Michael Schumacher. Everyone looks at him and Ferrari, oh, he's won this many championships. But no one forgot, everyone doesn't realize that before his first Ferrari championship, it took him 4 years to win anything with Ferrari. And he didn't blame them after they made a mistake in the race, whether, you know, they forgot to put the certain degree of wing on or whether they had a slow pit stop, because he wanted the same thing that they wanted, which is to go forward. So when someone makes a mistake in the team or they didn't do something right, you got to be the leader. You got to be saying, hey, it's okay. You made this mistake, just learn from it and let's move forward. Obviously, that doesn't mean you can't be assertive. You can say you gotta get your stuff together and improve. But it's all about leading the team, like you said, not blaming, but just helping them. And it's in every area of life, you know. Whether your teacher is not good to you at school, and you keep complaining, but you can talk to them and say, this is what I need, this is what I need to move forward. And it's the same in racing. So it's all about not blaming and just understanding that they want the same thing as you and helping them move forward.
Thanks.
Anyone else? It's on.
Hi, Yevan. So my question to you is there a role model that you look up to in F1 or rather a favorite driver in F1?
Yeah, I look up to, as I said, Max and Lewis because, I mean, Max is doing wonders this year and the last few years in the championships. And, you know, just the mentality of not caring about what happens in the race and just driving to the maximum, I love that. And Lewis, through his Mercedes days, you know, just winning so many races and having this really nice swagger and attitude towards it, they're definitely my two role models. Polar opposites, but I look up to both of them, yes.
And we love you so much for what you do as well.
Thank you. I hope that I can be a role model like that one day.
So my question is, looking back to your life, what was the moment that was the changing point for you to take up this career, which made you feel, okay, racing is my future? Is there any moment that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, so obviously there's the beginning, which was stepping in a go-kart for the first time and watching the first Formula One race on TV and saying, I want to be there, this is it, let's go. But one of the biggest for me was 2020, when we all went into lockdown, into COVID. I also didn't race for the whole year. And you know, up to that point I was still living with my family, going to school like a normal kid and doing racing as well. But in 2021, racing became my whole life and nothing else. What happened was from January to November, I moved to Italy with my coach. A few people know the story. And what was so difficult for me was in October, November and December in 2020, I realized I was going to leave my life and go to something that I didn't know what was going to be. Obviously, it's still racing, but it's living in a different country, living during COVID as well, and most of all, not having my family at every single race. So at that point, I was like, okay, this is the chance. This is it, and there's no turning back. And I remember thinking to at the time, like, okay, let's do 1 year. Let's see how it goes. I still wanted to do more, but I just wanted to see how it was after 1 year. After that 1 year in 2021, where I also got in contact with Dimo at the time, I realized this is going all the way. And there was no question that I was going to come back in 2022, 2023, and here we are, about to go into 2026, 5 years later. So that was definitely a turning point in my career and my life.
Great, bro. You are going to make history. We are right behind you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Yevan. So since the barrier to entry into motor racing in general is so high, what do you think about sim racers in general? Do you think they're just going to be just there, or will they be given a chance to prove themselves sometime in the future and maybe actually be put into a race car? Or do you kind of have to always go through go-karts and then make your way into big motorsport?
So that's an interesting question because a few people have seen the movie Gran Turismo of Jan Mardenborough. He obviously went into this simulator racing competition, got the opportunity to drive for Nissan, and now he's a professional racing driver. Nowadays, sim racing has become very big because of COVID as well. Every single driver got a simulator and started driving. And I would say for the time being, you still have to go through go-karts and get to Formula 4, get to Formula 3. But I would say definitely from sim racing, you can start at Formula 4 and kind of skip the go-karting because, in our sport, when you're racing on the simulator, you're still driving the Formula 4 or the Formula 1 car on the simulator at every single track. Okay, there's a little bit of real life difference like rain and things that can affect, but you're still training yourself, you're still training the muscle memory. I'd say the only thing that you can't train is the physical side, but obviously you can still train at the gym. So the point being, definitely you can go from sim racing to Formula 4. Obviously, not a lot of people have the opportunity today because the spotlight isn't on sim racing. The spotlight is on go-karting in Europe and Formula 4, and that's why they're getting the opportunity. But for sure, I would say there's talent and a lot of people that have the work ethic from sim racing that can go into Formula 4 and proceed to Formula 1.
Thank you so much for me.
All right.
Anyone else? We have a lot of questions from this side.
I wanted to say one thing. I think a lot of people are asking who's going to win the F1 World Championship, and my prediction, I'm going to say Max for now. So I don't know. Let's see how it goes. We'll know next week. But that's my prediction for the Formula 1 Championship. What about you, Rajiv?
Well, I would like Piastri to win, but I think Lando is going to win.
Yeah, I mean now it's quite a lead for him. But I thought Piastri 2 months ago as well. But things happen. So.
Good guy. That's why I respect him.
Yeah.
Any more questions? We still have a few more minutes to go.
So how do you bounce back from failure and keep up with positive mindset?
So, I mean, failure is one of the hardest things as an athlete, as a driver, and as I mentioned before, learning from it is the only thing you can do because just bouncing back, I mean, I hate losing. No matter how much you can change your mindset and put it in a positive way, it's terrible. What I do is I process it on the Sunday night or the Monday, and I just think, all right, this happened, but I've been through it before. I've lost in karting, I've lost in Formula 4, I've lost in many different times, and I know that I bounce back every single time, so I have the belief to do it again, and I have the belief to win. So just reminding yourself that you're here at this point in this journey, and you're still going for a reason. So you can't win all the time, everyone loses. This is probably just one of those losses, and keep going, because it's only a matter of time if you have the mindset, if you have the drive to get to your dreams.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to ask, what's your conclusion or end game when you get to Formula 1? I mean, I know you're working towards F3 and F2 and you don't want to think about Formula 1, but like, you like it or not, you are going to get there. I know you are.
Great words.
But you do know that things are going to change drastically. Yeah, so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so your question is like, what are my goals in Formula 1 and beyond, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it obviously depends with the team I'm with, but I don't want to just be participating. I want to be winning races, winning a world championship, and obviously, if you're in a lower end team who's not achieving as much, maybe you have to prove yourself there and get a few top 10s, get a few points finishes to go to that top team. But my goal, once I'm in that top team, is exactly the same as every single driver, to win a championship, to win races, and just to be at the top of my game for as long as possible. With saying that, I don't have a particular team that I intend to be with or have a goal towards. I just want to be with the quickest team possible. And if you're with a team that's lower end, like I said, your goal might not be winning the championship, but your goal might be to get to that top team in the meantime. So definitely not just going to be participating there, but winning.
Thank you. Anyone else?
That's the fun question. Who's your favorite sports role model beyond racing? And second question is, who's your favorite musician?
We just want
Favorite musician? Okay, so favorite role model beyond racing is Michael Jordan, because I love basketball. I think I probably watch basketball now more than racing. I love it that much, but more because of the mindsets behind it. I love the way because you're competing against a lot more people in basketball, so this mentality that they have, I love it. And I've taken it towards racing because Michael Jordan, as Rajiv said, you have to lead a team and not blame them, and that's what he did all those years ago. And a lot of people in the racing world don't see that mindset as well. So yeah, I love that a lot. And favorite musician? I can't pick one right now, but I just saw the one I've loved for a long time, the Michael Jackson trailer last week, so I'm going with him for now because I love pretty much every single one of his songs. So, yeah. Can't dance like him though, but that's okay.
Hi,
Where's the mic? I can't see. Oh yeah, there, okay.
Okay, so in Sri Lanka, what were their thoughts on you getting into a whole new platform? What were their thoughts on it? Did they give that full support, or did they say, okay, you do whatever you want or something like that? So what were your parents' support?
Yeah, so for me, every single parent wants their kid to do well and to succeed. And, it's very risky doing different sports, and especially the sport I'm in. In terms of the safety side, I don't think they were too worried because they knew the sport is quite safe nowadays. But just making it, because a lot of people want, their parents to go to, a lot of parents want their kids to go to school, get a degree, get education, which I'm still doing as well. But having a sport as your main profession and as your main goal, it can be risky. But what I was very lucky to have is parents that believed in me no matter what I picked. So if they knew that I wanted to go all the way in racing or in a different sport, they would have supported me all the way. And we're here today because I picked racing rather than tennis or football or basketball. But they still supported from day one, and I'm very lucky to have that and appreciate that. There were moments where, I think internally they were debating because we're just, considering and going through the difficulties of racing, being away from family, the travel, obviously the cost as well. But they obviously didn't discuss any of that with me because they wanted me to live my dream, and that I'll forever be thankful for.
Give a round of applause to your parents.
100%.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing this evening?
Yes, all good. You?
Yeah, great. Just want to know, what if you had not been into racing? What would you want to do? If you're not doing?
If I'm engineering side, Formula 1 as well. So yeah, definitely still involved in racing if I were to say nowadays.
Okay, and another question, how does it feel when you're in the racing car with your helmet on and the lights are off? How does it feel? In that top speed driving?
I'm pretty relaxed. I'd say when you're going at such speeds for so long, I'd say the first time you get into a fast car, so let's say the first time I drove the F3, at top speeds it's much more, it's 300 now, so it's whoa, okay, I'm going fast. But with anything, your brain gets used to it, and I started to get used to it, started to get the muscle memory, and the tracks never change, on a yearly basis. So all the tracks you go to, you can practice on the simulator, so by the time you're racing and you're going at such speeds, your body and your mind knows exactly what to do. So you're never worried, and it just feels very, very relaxing. Not when you're in a tight race and there's a lot of cars around you and you don't know if you're going to win, but definitely in qualifying and in practice, just the speed itself, yeah, your body and your mind knows what to do, like anything else in life. So yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have any, with this current stage you're facing now back in Sri Lanka, getting partnerships, endorsements, do you have any thoughts on how you're going to discipline yourself with that regard? The balance with your fitness, your mind, your clarity, how you will spend?
Yeah, so time management basically, right? Well, I would say I've been managing time since I moved to Italy in 2021 because I had to do online school with the racing, and now obviously it's a very different type of time management because it's physical fitness that I have to be worried about, like going to the gym 5 times a week, and then events like this, the sponsorship events and the interviews. And I'd say what's important is having the downtime. You can have a million interviews in a week, or you can be in the gym all the time. But at one point during the year or during the month, you have to set time for yourself to just switch off, to do whatever you want. For me, it's relaxing with my family, watching Netflix, and we got Christmas coming up, so that's a good time to do it. But until then, it's just focusing on what you have to do now, but then having the time to switch off. Because one thing I learned is if you can't switch off, you can't switch on. So just making your life as organized as possible in that way.
Hi, Yevan. My question for you is, obviously in racing there's a big difference between being aggressive and defensive. What do you feel is more important to focus on, since now you're going into F3, and what do you think is going to get you to F1, being a more defensive or aggressive racer?
Well, in terms of wheel-to-wheel racing, the mentality I have is the best offense is defense. So, I mean, you can defend as much as you want, but in the end, if you're good at overtaking and you're good at defending, that's what will take you further. So what I meant to say was, you have to be good in both areas. If you're leading a race, there's no car to overtake in front, and therefore you need to be strategically defensive. But if you have a problem in qualifying and you start at the back of the grid and you need to overtake, then you need to be an aggressive racer. So I would say it's both equal for me. For other drivers, defense could be higher, offense could be higher, but for me, definitely being aggressive and attacking, plus the defending is important.
Also, one more thing, are you a Messi fan or Ronaldo?
Messi or Ronaldo? Well, I don't watch football much, but I would say Ronaldo. But I watch the World Cup.
Ronaldo.
So yeah, yes.
Thank you.
All right, so I think we're right about on time, a little over, but it was a really interesting and engaging conversation. I'm sure we could go on. I'm sure you all have lots of more questions. Maybe you all can connect afterwards. So before, while wrapping up, I'd just like to wish you all the best, Yevan, and we hope you keep racing hard and keep making Sri Lanka proud, and you know that we're all rooting for you. So all the best, and Rajiv, thank you so much. I think you also show that uplifting young talent is also uplifting a nation.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you to you. Thank you for everyone coming today. Really appreciate it. And a huge thank you to Rajiv and Dimas as well for having me today.
Thank you to our audience as well. Thank you for your enthusiasm, your engagement. Really appreciate it. Yes, so with that, I'd like to conclude this session and hope you all have a good night.